All right, quick audio check. The VAS Strength and Conditioning podcast is back. We're going to call this the Extraordinary Podcast. It's just me. It's going to be Coach Scott, and this is for the people trying to bring this thing back. So here's going to be the format of what we're going to follow. First of all, we're going to play the intro music, the song that's going to come in. It's going to be rough as guts because it's episode 1, and I'm winging it. It's me, my laptop, a little bit of Hardy, and you guys who are watching this. So here comes the intro song. You probably can't hear that, it's all muffled out, but it's Hardy's sold out. All right, here's going to be the format. So this is going to be me reading our blog posts that I post each week to the members, and I'm going to then, as I go through, give you my thoughts, my views, my opinions, basically break it down in a little bit more detail. So this week's blog post, now it's not finished because I'm still editing the post, but it's about how to go from fundamentals to peak performance. So the blog post title is How to Plan Your Training Going from Fundamentals to Peak Performance. Whether you're new to fitness or looking to elevate your current routine, a structured approach to training can make all the difference in achieving your goals. From booking classes and planning your schedule to knowing what to do when you arrive at training, here's a comprehensive guide on how to plan your training journey to go from building fundamentals to achieving peak performance. So we're going to start here. I think ideally what I'd like from this blog post is that everybody starts to understand that as much as peak performance is vital, it's actually building the fundamentals that are more important at the start. A lot of athletes or people, actually, let's say a lot of people that we see in the initial stages of their fitness journey, they don't think of themselves as athletes. And that's fair. They're trying to achieve a result still based predominantly on aesthetics. A lot of athletes, and I always refer to people as athletes, but because that's who we train. But Nike said once upon a time, if you have a body, you are an athlete, and I tend to agree. And we need to be more human with our physical performance and the way that we perform in general in life. I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody, and it's very important that we don't lose functionality of our bodies as we get older. And unfortunately, in today's society, that's what we're seeing a lot of. Anyway, so the people that we first see that walk through the door, they're not referring to themselves as an athlete. They're going to be referring to themselves as deconditioned, very likely more still fat or wanting to lose weight. And I still believe that that's a lot of the priority goal that a lot of people want to achieve in the initial stages of achieving any form of goal. So, their self-confidence is going to be low, and our goal in that initial stage is to build that self-confidence. So the first steps is to build the fundamentals. When we are first starting, focus on mastering the basics. So from the first 0 to 6 months, basically, you would be always prioritizing building the fundamentals no matter what. No, if you're returning from fitness or you are doing it for the first time, that should be your priority, is learn how to exercise first. Don't worry about your performance. Worry about what you're learning. This foundation will set the stage for more advanced training later on, and you don't have to be good on day one. At a facility like VSC, your first goal when building the fundamentals is to aim for 3 to 4 strength and conditioning sessions per week. This allows your body ample time to recover between sessions and prevent overloading your schedule right away. Each class follows a similar structure to help you feel confident and competent quickly and be able to understand the systems as soon as possible. A general class structure goes as follows. Now, before I go on with this, you would assume that when you've just started a fitness journey, you don't know too much about exercise. You have a little bit of a thought process around it. You know you should be doing it, but you're in a stage of, you have a problem, but you don't know what to do about it. And that's the goal. But you know where to get that help. So if you've walked through my doors, you know you want help, you know you need help, but you just generally don't have the confidence or the full understanding. That should be your first goal. Understanding how to exercise better. Now, the good thing again is a general class structure at Vast Strength and Conditioning starts with a warm-up. Each session at VSC includes dynamic stretches and light cardio to prepare your body. This will be a whole nother blog post on my theories behind warming up, but basically a quick overview of that is I believe in a MAP system, mobility, activation, and preparation. We then generally tend to go into some form of strength or skill practice. So we will focus on learning the techniques of the compound movements like squats, deadlifts, bench presses, Olympic lifts, or body weight strength exercises. These exercises will engage multiple muscle groups and are essential for building strength. You want to start with light weights to ensure proper form and allow your muscles, tendons, ligaments, and joints to adapt. That is the most important part. When you start on a fitness journey, say you're older, like you're my age and you're 37 and you decide that you're going to start exercising, you're going to have a base level of strength or base level of understanding or some form of base level of the last 37 years that you've been doing this life thing. And your muscles might be able to keep up. But what we find a lot is that just because our muscles can do something, it's the force and the extra strain on the tendons, joints, or ligaments that seem to not be able to keep up. So even if you are strong, fast, you're fit to an extent, no matter what, when we start putting your body into loads that you're not used to, you will find that that's generally where an early injury will come from. So it's our goal to make sure that you keep that really light. And it's got, yes, technique is vital, but progressive overload is actually the bit that's very, very, very underutilized or very much looked down upon when it comes to this. And we're going to talk about this some more in a moment. And then the last part that we generally have in a class is the conditioning piece. Each class incorporates varied time domains of conditioning to improve cardiovascular fitness and endurance. Concentrate on how you perform the exercises rather than how fast or how heavy you can go. At the start of your fitness journey, your goal is not to show how good you are, but to show your coach or your coaches where you are at that point. This helps the VSC coaches understand how to guide you safely and effectively towards your fitness goals from the beginning. So to recap this first part of the blog, the first 0 to 6 months, all you should be worried about is booking in your schedule your classes. You should be focusing on learning the techniques and then staying back off of the loads, focusing on the range of motions, even backing off some of the volume, allowing us to manipulate the workouts so that it's not just a matter of showing you what you can do, but what you can learn and how you can learn. Again, I think the hard part for this is a lot of people, when they start a fitness journey, they want quick results. And that's okay. And that's good. You know what? If aesthetics or losing weight is going to be your priority, which again, I'll be honest, at the start of a fitness journey, that's 100% of what you really want to achieve. The performance thing, it's like icing. It's like a little bit on the outside, but the deep root is you want a better looking six pack. You want to feel better about yourself. You want to have more confidence, and aesthetics helps with that. Start to clean up your diet. Really start to focus on your diet, eating healthy foods. All of those very small changes have a big impact at the start. So learn, observe, take your time and focus on progressive overload, i.e. going very slowly on your progressive overloads. And you'll see more long-term results than what you're setting out to achieve. Than you're setting out to see. Pretty much after the first 6 months, though, you would then move into what I would call going from the fundamentals to very likely now the fitness fundamentals. You can take sort of like one more step up, or you start to prioritize your training now around building fitness over the fundamentals and the aesthetics. So from 6 to 12 months, the second part of this blog is after establishing a solid foundation of fitness, you will start to see repeated movements in your workouts. This is an ideal time to increase the intensity and the volume of your workouts to see significant fitness results. Your weekly routine should be that your frequency would increase to 5 to 6 training sessions per week. The components of those workouts would be to push the weights, the skills, and the speed at which you execute movement patterns. And you might even start to incorporate a couple of the additional classes, such as the cardio WOD class or the weightlifting classes like we run here at Vast Strength and Conditioning, which offers to help you work on your skills and increase your exercise knowledge faster. Basically, once you've overcome the hurdles of the fundamentals, you've developed, you've learnt, you've gone through those feelings of inadequacies, and we've been able to build your confidence and your competency, it's at that point that you'll really start to advance and understand exactly what you're doing. And that's when you'll start to see a big shift in your ability to move bigger loads, to be able to do more volume, and keep up with some of the athletes that have been doing this a little bit longer. It's a fair assumption that after 6 months is when you should be able to even bother looking at comparing yourself to somebody else, because prior to that, you're still learning. It would be like being a year 1 maths student trying to go up against the year 6 math student. It's not going to be the same, and they're probably not even a really good analogy, but you get the idea. After 5 years, maybe then, by year 6 to year 12, there are some year 12s that have a year 6 mathematics or reading level. It's cool. Like, you should maybe compare yourself a little bit more up there. But in this initial phase, it's not fair. Your training age is so disparated that for you to worry about what someone's been doing who's been doing this for 6 to 12 months is not a good thing for you to do. And as we know, coveting's bad. We shouldn't be comparing ourselves to others. It is the thief of all joy. But unfortunately, again, at the start of somebody's journey, they're really thinking about that, and they should really be just worried about learning how and putting a good schedule and structure into their place. After the 6 months, though, then really find this as your hobby. Like, you can go deep in on this. And that's why we offer the 2 types of memberships, just for the record. Like, we have a 3 times a week or the unlimited, because at the start of a training phase, or when somebody's still just trying to get the hang of this, 3 times a week's good. 4 times a week is way better. I'd rather that, but it's not always for everyone to do that. But after 6 to 12 months, you've got a good understanding. If you're not doing some other kind of physical activity outside of your 3 to 4 sessions, feel free to bump it up. If you're busy, please don't take that as an attack that I should think everyone should be doing that. Some people are just busy, man. They've got real lives, they've got real jobs, they've got real stuff, and 3 times a week is what they can fit into their schedule. But if you can pump it up to 4, you're going to find you get away. It's another quarter of a result, isn't it? Another quarter of what you can achieve. All right, the last part. Oh, not really the last part, but the last part of the middle part. Okay, achieving performance, advanced training, 12 to 18 months. Once you have maintained a consistent training schedule and achieved a training age of 12 to 18 months, you can start tailoring your program towards your specific performance goals. This phase focuses on fine-tuning your fitness and achieving peak physical condition while staying injury-free. Your weekly routine would be that you start to maintain 5 to 6 training sessions per week. Your specialized training, spelled specialized wrong, so I'm going to just change that. Incorporate sport-specific or goal-orientated training sessions. You might really start to incorporate some more active recovery at these points. Things like yoga, stretching, or light cardio to aid muscle recovery and prevent injury. I'm going to go on a tangent on this in a second because I really want to make this point. And then that is at this point, 12 to 18 months, you should regularly assess your progress through fitness tests or benchmarks to track improvements in your fitness and physical performance. Right, 2 key things to pull out of this. Number 1, notice we didn't talk about extreme recovery modalities until after 12 to 18 months. That's because in the initial phase of your training age, you've just started, you're in a fundamental phase. Going to have ice baths, saunas, contrast therapy, everything else outside of move more, eat less is going to move the needle a lot more than you need it to. You can do that stuff. I wouldn't recommend it. And the reason is because you'll become an all or nothing kind of person. You don't need to be an all or nothing kind of person in the initial phases of 0 to 6 months when you're building the fundamentals. If you try and race off to yoga, try and add that to your daily routine and stuff like that, every day you should have a list of 5 critical tasks. Now, I learned that from Andy Frisella, but if you put 5 things on your daily list that you should do to make you a better human being every day, and you accomplish that, you've won the day. Now, in the start of a training, when you start self-developing and you're starting to go, right, exercise is important, I must do this to be a better version of myself. Until that's a habit, that needs to be on your critical list. So you would have probably a critical list in the initial phases of your fundamentals from 0 to 6 is attend the class, eat more vegetables, don't drink Coke if that's a problem, whatever that thing is. Basically don't do the thing that's a vice. Drink 4 liters of water and go to sleep before 8, something like that, right? After 6 months, you have no problem drinking water. You have no problem, eating vegetables. You still love to have a soft drink or whatever, Coke, full fat, whatever it is. Just using that as an example. And your exercise is good. You can start to move some of those things off of those lists, and then you start to bring those other things in. But at the initial phases, if you're, I wouldn't even try and add an ice bath. I don't even do ice baths now. I'll go do them, whatever. But I have other things I need to do in my day. Why chuck that on there to set myself up for failure? Same thing, I believe the same thing with yoga and stretching. Like, you should do stretching. But again, my class format is we do mobility at the start. I believe in mobility before you exercise more than the mobility after, because you want to prepare your muscles for what's to come. Like, cooling down's cool, but you're probably going to be busy after this anyway. And you still have that and this whole flush out of lactic acid and all that shit. Like, come on, like, really? I think do it before preparation. I mean, like anything, preparation is more important than post, right? Being prepared. Why don't we just be prepared? Then we don't need to worry about the post because we were good enough in the middle. Let's do that. Yeah. Yoga, stretching, light cardio, anything to aid in muscle recovery and prevent injury. That literally means ice baths and contrast therapy to me. They are additions you would add on when you are able to put exercise into your regular routine. The other thing I'd also like to debate about ice baths is good to see it's the middle of winter and I haven't seen a single ice bath video on Instagram from anybody who was ice bathing in the middle of summer. So is it really sustainable? Let me know. Still haven't seen a video. All right. Key principles of success. Number 1, consistency is king. No matter your fitness level, consistency is the cornerstone of success. Adhering to your training schedule, even when motivation is low, is critical for long-term progress. Not even going to go on that deviation. Discipline is greater than motivation. Consistency is king. Progressive overload. Gradually increasing the weights, intensity, and volume of your workouts to continually challenge your body and stimulate growth. First, stay vigilant with your weight selection, volumes, and training loads, and as time progresses, build your capabilities and confidence step by step. When you do a class at Vast Strength and Conditioning, we program for all of the levels that I'm talking about. A general class structure, we have a RX, so the workouts written to the athletes that are already fit. We then filter that down from exactly what I'm talking about here. We have the performance athletes to the fitness athletes to the fitness fundamental athletes to the fundamental athletes. Those 4 different training ages are always looked after in our classes. We also have other modifications to make, which most of you know this. Never feel like you're a burden, because even at the moment, in case you haven't noticed, days like today where we're doing skipping or double unders, I've put a movement pattern in there to counteract the jumping. We will do that. It's what we need to do. Exercise first. The rest of it, movement patterns are just for creativity. How you execute the energy system is all dependent on so many other factors and so many other variables. That's my job to worry about that. It's your job to rock up. Recovery and nutrition. Prioritize recovery through adequate sleep, proper nutrition, and hydration. These elements are essential for muscle repair and overall performance. They also keep you motivated, disciplined, and excited for each workout. Mate, if you are energized and you're recovering properly, you've been sleeping properly, eating properly, and drinking properly, drinking water properly, and you're hydrated, you will feel better. You try and out-train a bad diet, you're still going to feel like shit. And that's a lot of people's problem. They are trying to out-train a bad diet. Quality over quantity, water over caffeine. Maybe I need to come up with a saying for that. I know something around like, I do it sometimes anyway. Rehydrate before you recaffeinate. There you go. Yeah, do that. Rehydrate before you recaffeinate. And sleep. Get some sleep. Go to bed early. You don't, yeah. Or be like Kobe. Just don't sleep and just do it anyway. And then this is a little plug here for the role of a good coach. At VSC, our knowledgeable coaches are instrumental in your fitness journey. They provide personalized workouts, tailoring your training and each class to your needs and capabilities. Their goal is to take you through technique guidance to ensure you perform exercises correctly to prevent injury and help with weight selections and movement adjustments. No matter where you are in your fitness journey, the more coachable you are by listening, by being able to be directed, we will help you stay injury free. I hate when gyms say in their marketing, do you want to train in a place where you don't get injured? You know what? That's everybody's fucking goal. The same thing as a great community. Everybody should have a great community because, to be honest, the people who join these places are great people. They are self-developers. They are ass kickers and name takers. So having a great community is only as long as you're not a bunch of swingers who throw their keys in their bowl and you are good people. If they're good people, then you're going to have a good community. Exercise people are not good people. Good people are good people. And good coaches keep you injury free if you listen. But also, the coach needs to build a good relationship with you so that can be the case. So that's our goal here. And then again, and that keeps us in this part here where it says motivation and accountability. These will keep you motivated. The coaches will keep you motivated and accountable, helping you stay on track when your challenges arises and motivation wanes. In conclusion, planning your training from fundamentals to peak performance is a journey that requires dedication, consistency, and a strategic approach. VSC is here to help. By starting with building solid foundations, gradually increasing your workload, and incorporating specialized training as you progress, you can achieve impressive fitness results. And with the support of a committed team of coaches, you can advance further and faster than you ever thought possible. All right. Let's unpack that. We're 22 minutes into me rambling and reading out from that thing. But basically, in a nutshell, if you're watching this, you are a member of our strength and conditioning. And if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, great. Hi, welcome along. Thank you very much for listening to my TED Talk. But if you are looking at getting fit, you're looking at getting healthy, and you're at the start of your fitness journey, you really need to prioritize focusing on building the fundamentals and not worrying about what you can do, but worry about what you're learning to be able to do. After the first 6 months, then sure, start to compare yourself just a little bit to people that have been around you for the same amount of time on that fitness journey. After the 6 months, then you can start to think about adding bigger loads. Like we're talking like challenging loads, challenging intensities, challenging the speed of the workouts, really upping the game. Because after the first 6 months, it's probably a habit. It's more of a hobby now than what it was at the start. You had some very specific goals at the beginning, and now you just love the process. You're in part of it. You know it's part of your day. You've got some friends. You do all that sort of stuff. And then after 12 to 18 months, that's when you could start to consider competing, prioritizing performance, doing a couple extra bits and pieces. Even in the CrossFit scene, it blows my mind that people are trying to still do beginners even before they've been doing CrossFit for 12 months. Competition should never enter your mind until you have a level of expertise in anything to be able to actually compete against others. A beginner system, great, I get it, like be a part of it. It's a status game, go for it. But should you really be competing that early when you could still fall off the bandwagon? And what happens when competing disappears? It's not part of your identity anymore. Competing becomes part of your identity. And you should be doing this fitness thing, not because it's part of your identity, but because it's something that you do. Exercise is, I think, what do they call those things? It's a synonym. I mean, it's a doing thing. You have to do it. Like it's a doing thing. It's not just a thing. So competing, performing, comparing yourself to others, that's a thing for after the first 12 months. And at that point, it's really just who does the most work. And that's what you should be comparing yourself to, not a score, nothing to do with a piece of pen written on a whiteboard, but who did the work, who is eating well, drinking well, sleeping well, having good relationships with their friends, reading good self-development books, living a life that is true to their own beliefs, to the point that they can then compare themselves in some way to somebody else. But other than that, everyone's different. Everybody's doing life differently. They believe in doing life differently. And the only really common theme that we have with everybody in this room is that we all did the same workout, but we all have a different number of kids. We all have different, like there's so, I could be here all day and explain why comparison is ridiculous. It's stupid, but yet we still tend to do it. So to wrap it up, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. When you're in the first 6 months of your journey, you're still just developing the fundamentals. After that, you're focusing on being fit. And after that, you might choose to start to perform a little bit more and move down that line. But you have no concerns of being in the performance realm until well and truly after your first 12 months.